Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Teresa Piddle. I want to take this moment to welcome our online audience. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us this evening. Feel free to grab a glass of wine or whatever you would like to drink, get cozy on your couch, but get ready to be inspired by what you hear this evening. Tonight, you're going to first hear from Gerard and Anna Mijon, the co-founders of Natural Womanhood. They have critical updates and exciting announcements about what Natural Womanhood has done. You will next hear from a young woman, Charlotte Cedarstrand. She has an important message about what fertility awareness means for our next generation. She will be followed by our much anticipated speaker, Mr. Jason Evert, and his talk, Fertility Awareness, the Game Changer. I would now like to invite up Gerard and Anna Mijon, who co-founded Natural Womanhood in 2012. Gerard is a director of strategic initiatives for a nonprofit hospital here in San Antonio. He is also a full-time CEO and president of Natural Womanhood. Anna is a self-employed writer and a published author. I have been humbled and honored to work beside them for the past 3 years to see what all they have done for Natural Womanhood. So without further ado, I welcome Gerard and Anna.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you all so much for being here. Natural Womanhood's mission is to transform reproductive health and relationships by empowering women and couples to embrace fertility awareness, natural family planning, and comprehensive women's health. Good evening, honored guests. As you may know, natural methods of family planning are much better for women and couples. Unfortunately, these methods are too little known and understood by the general public. So, why does our mission matter? One reason is that women who are on birth control are at risk or are suffering. Here's an example. A woman named Lizbeth submitted her story to us on October 31st. She wrote, "After 3 years of using NuvaRing, with no side effects, I had a stroke. I was 28 years old. It almost killed me. I've been in pain 24/7 for the past 11 years. I couldn't have children because of it. I wish someone had advised me of the side effects of contraception the day I decided to start using it. NuvaRing destroyed my life." It's too late for us to help Lizbeth, but we launched a new website this year to inform women of the reality and the risks of IUDs and other contraceptive devices. IUDalert.com. IUDalert.com. There you can find over 40 other moving testimonials from women who have been harmed by birth control. Our goal is to help women like Lizbeth find true solutions to their reproductive issues, whether alternatives to birth control or to IVF. Every day we've been able to help women thanks to your support. Just last week, a young woman wrote us, "Hey, is there someone I could reach out to for coaching and questions? I just had a baby and I don't know where to start with fertility tracking, as we want to wait a couple of years before we get pregnant again." We were able to direct her to a certified trainer who was able to help her. Because of your generosity as our donors, we have been able to help countless individuals. We have 440 online articles that answer so many questions for over 1,100 readers every single day who access our website desperate for critical information and advice. Tragically, there are many women that we have not been able to save. According to published research, an estimated 300 to 400 women die due to hormonal contraception every year because they were never informed. This number includes 6 young women who died as a result of blood clots caused by hormonal contraception and whose parents we've encountered through this work. Tonight we honor the memory of these young women: Erica Langhart, Brittany Malone, Alex Rowan, Annie Ammons, Julia Ross, and Alexandra Williams. These women are an inspiration to us to keep going and to expand the reach of natural womanhood. We need your partnership to make this happen.
These examples illustrate what natural womanhood is about and why our mission is so critical. As many of you can relate, we had many challenges this year, but our amazing team did not stop working through the many hurdles caused by the pandemic. Here is what you accomplished with us through your generous support this past year. Your donations enabled us to write or update about 80 articles with essential women's reproductive health information on naturalwomanhood.org, like why women need their periods, or an FAQ on postpartum depression, another one on endometriosis, another one on infertility, and many more very essential articles. With your support, we were also able to send out an e-newsletter every weekend to over 16,000 readers. Since we started, we reached 1.9 million unique readers who visited our website. In the last 12 months alone, we reached over 410,000, which is an average of 1,123 a day. That's 1,123 people, mostly women in the reproductive age, who read this critical information. Because of the pandemic, we added a COVID section to our website to help women navigate the crisis of healthcare access, including several helpful articles and a list of 40 OBGYNs and medical or family doctors trained in fertility awareness method or NAPRO technology, and who could also be reached by telehealth. We also launched a local helpline and a scholarship fund, which we intend to continue and grow. We aim to break the barriers of access to natural family planning. Last but not least, we worked on a brand new Natural Womanhood website, and I'm very excited to announce that we just launched it. So please, tonight, take a minute to go on naturalwomanhood.org and you check out for yourself the extent of information, the number of articles, number of topics that we cover in the area of women's health. I feel we're still just at the beginning of this adventure. We have big plans for next year, including we, of course, want to grow our website and the traffic on it, and we'll start providing services on it. For example, we are already offering CMEs for doctors in partnership with Vitae CME right now on the new website. If you're a doctor here tonight, look at the Get Involved section and you can find some really exciting CMEs to take. Next year, we will also offer advanced educational programs in partnership with the Couple to Couple League. We're going to translate our top read articles in at least 2 foreign languages. We're going to produce and launch an on-demand program to teach teenagers about their reproductive health as a way for them to become more confident and protective of their fertility. Last but not least, our goal is to reach 1 million readers by year 2022, 1 million readers a year, and we can accomplish it with your support. Again, thank you for your generosity. This past year, your support helped save many lives, marriages, and families. Thank you all again for joining us in person and online, and may God bless each and every one of you.
Next, we'll hear from Charlotte Cedarstrand. She's joining us from Huntsville, Alabama. At 20 years old, she's a singer-songwriter and a leader with a Catholic campus ministry. She works for a nonprofit that serves the hungry and destitute in her community. Last but not least, she is currently completing her certification to teach the FEM method of fertility tracking and NFP. Please help me welcome Charlotte Cedarstrand.
Thank you, Gerard and Anna, for having me here tonight. It is an honor to be here with you all and here with Jason Evert as our main speaker. So I'm here to talk to you all about the value of fertility awareness from a young age. I myself was raised in a family where fertility appreciation was a way of life, which means that we had a series of ongoing conversations positively talking about a woman's cycle of fertility with age-appropriate messages. And I learned to identify and track my signs of fertility from the age of 12. So now, at age 20, I have 8 years of experience in decoding and tracking my own fertility. This has meant so much to me because not only do I have this understanding of a woman's cycle of fertility, being able to identify ovulation and understand what is good and healthy in a normal cycle, but I also have a deep appreciation for my cycle of fertility and for my body. But this priceless gift of health literacy must be fought for in our culture. Not too long ago, I served as a missionary all over this country to middle school and high school students. And what I saw are the effects of our culture's early sexualization of the youth, especially through extreme content in pornography and in music videos. Young women today are being told that their worth lies in their appearance and in them being a sexual object. And while it is taboo to talk about periods, it is even celebrated in our culture to be on the pill so that you're free to express yourself. And dressing immodestly is viewed as body positivity. And yet, in this generation, while it is highly sexualized, it is ironic that women are not taught about their normal, healthy signs of fertility. Everything is backwards. Young women are told first about sex and offered the pill before they even know how their body naturally works. Instead of women being positively shaped in their feminine identity through fertility awareness and understanding their body, they are being told that their worth and value as a woman lies in their appearance, in them having a boyfriend or performing sexually. And it is a painful burden imposed upon women to believe this lie. And the longer parents wait to educate their children about their fertility, the more the world can come in and present this distorted view of human sexuality. So, how does this relate to you? Many of you here are parents or will one day be parents. And I want to challenge you to have these conversations with your children that in such a way that instills in them a knowledge that their bodies are created good and for good before the world tells them that they are created for use and only use. As a daughter myself, I can attest to this priceless gift of being taught about a woman's healthy cycle of fertility. And it's not just enough to talk about fertility charting, because this is not just about fertility charting. This is about forming young women in their identity. And maybe some of you here tonight have already raised children. Maybe you felt that you weren't well equipped to face the task at hand of teaching your daughters about this gift of fertility. And I want to encourage you. This is not over yet. This is why we are all here tonight, to hear about this mission of natural womanhood, to teach women about their health and fertility, to empower them to make informed health decisions. And this is an important stepping stone to women understanding who they are in their feminine identity. So again, I want to encourage you all here tonight, and I want to encourage you to support this very important mission of natural womanhood. Thank you.
Charlotte, that was absolutely beautiful. When I heard her talk earlier this afternoon, I actually cried, true tears, because Charlotte is the hope for our future and for our youth. Awesome job. So thank you so much. I also have to say that I'm impressed that she's already been charting for 8 years. I didn't learn how to do that until 3 months before my wedding day, and I was that girl calling my NFP teacher on my wedding day saying, I just have a few questions that I want to. So I'm so impressed.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us tonight. My name is Anna Mijan, and I am the co-founder of Natural Womanhood. I wanted to interrupt our program just for a few minutes to share some exciting late-breaking news with you. Some very generous donors have agreed to offer a matching grant to Natural Womanhood that will allow your donation to be matched up to $60,000. What that means is that for every donation we receive, it will be matched dollar for dollar. So your $100 donation will be doubled. Your $1,000 donation will be doubled. If you donate $83 a month for a year, then that is a pledge of $1,000. That pledge will be matched for $1,000. We are blown away by this opportunity and are very excited to be able to share this amazing news with you tonight. In a few minutes, Teresa will come back on to ask for your support to help our all-important ministry to continue to grow in educating women about natural women's health. However, I wanted to first share a quick story about Mother Teresa and what she once told a potential donor. She was on a plane with him and told him about her ministry in Calcutta serving the poor. He was very impressed and decided to help. So he wrote her a check for $200,000. She thanked him and was very happy. Then he said to her, "Don't worry about it. It's no sweat off my back." Then she became a little sad and gave the check back to him. She said, "Then I don't want the check, because in order for love to be true love, it has to hurt. It has to be true sacrifice." The man then thought about it for a second, tore up that check, and wrote her a new one for $1.1 million. He then said to her, "Now that hurt." My friends, tonight we are not asking you to give of your excess. To do that is easy. We ask that you give sacrificially so that we can share the good news of natural alternatives to contraception. Now, of course, not everyone can give at the same levels, and we understand that, so we do not ask for equal giving, but what we ask for is equal sacrifice. To truly look into your hearts and give as if life depended on it. Because in some cases, the life of a young woman taking hormonal birth control truly does depend on it. And finally, we ask that you give generously, not just once, but that you prayerfully consider giving to us long term so that we can plan strategically for the future of natural womanhood. I thank you all again so much for being with us tonight, for your generosity and for giving sacrificially to our organization. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
I need you to get excited about this. I need you to feel this in your bones. Tonight, I need you to be the game changer for natural womanhood. Tonight, it's my honor to be asking for your financial support, which will ensure that our agency can expand and grow to reach over 1 million women and couples on a yearly basis who might otherwise have chosen contraception as their form of birth control. If you've been inspired by what you've heard tonight, I would ask that you consider giving to us financially to help us realize our dream of informing women about the dangers of contraception and the natural alternatives available to them. The incredible resources that we provide are free, but unfortunately, our organization is not free to operate. With the cost associated with operating our agency, we are in need of your financial support to hire additional staff, to expand the free resources that we provide, and increase our reach, which is crucial in providing the truth about women's reproductive health not only in the United States, but around the world. Now, in the past, people have told us that they're not quite sure how much to donate. So we've decided to let you know how much is needed, and then let you decide how you can help. There are 4 giving levels that I would like to explain, and then you can decide which giving level is best for you and your family. So now I'd like to ask someone at the table, please hand out our pledge cards and pens from the envelope that you find at the center of your table. Please hand out a pledge form and pen to each person who is seated at your table. Okay, now at this time, I would ask that you refrain from filling out the form. I know. Hold the form, refrain from filling it out, so that I can explain what it is we're asking for specifically and why. Afterwards, you'll have about 5 minutes to decide how you and your family may be able to help us financially. So, starting at the very top of the form, the first giving level is a pledge of $1,000 a month, or $12,000 a year, for the next 5 years. Now I know for almost all of us, including myself, that this amount is not feasible. However, I also know that there may be a few supporters in here that may be able to make this incredible pledge to us. Out of all the supporters here tonight, we are needing just 5 of you to make this awesome pledge. Your gift of $12,000 each year for the next 5 years would allow us to pay for much-needed full-time staff, expand resources, and improve over 50,000 marriages. But most importantly, your gift alone would allow us to inform approximately 36,000 women and couples every year about fertility awareness. The next giving level is a pledge of $5,000 each year for 5 years, which is approximately $416 a month. Again, for a lot of us, this is a big number. But for some of our supporters, we hope that you can consider helping our organization with this pledge. For this giving level, we're hoping that 10 of you make this wonderful pledge to us this evening. Your gift alone would allow us to spare thousands of couples from using hormonal contraceptives and IVF. Your awesome support would allow us to show the truth about women's health to over 15,000 marriages each year. The third giving level is a pledge of $1,000 each year for 5 years, which is approximately $83. For many of us, we are able to make this pledge. It's not an easy commitment to make, but vital to helping our agency change the landscape of women's reproductive health forever. So we are asking that 30 of you make this amazing pledge to us. Your gift would spare 1,000 women annually from serious medical conditions, which would save the economy over $15 million each year. Now, we know and respect that you may prefer to give at a different level, and so this next giving level is just for you. On this line, please tell us how much you would like to give and for how many years. And keep in mind, no amount is too small, whether it's $50 a month, $40 a month, or even $30 a month, can make a huge difference. $30 a month for 12 months is $360. That is enough to help our organization reach over 1,000 new women each and every year that will receive the extensive resources available to them about women's health. I would ask, if at all possible, that you select to give to us monthly instead of annually. Not only does this help us for budgeting and planning purposes, it also provides you a monthly reminder that you are actively helping women and couples in need. If you are joining us today for the first time or continuing today as a donor of Natural Womanhood, my personal thanks from the bottom of my heart. We truly appreciate whatever level of support you sacrificially make tonight. We will give you about 5 minutes to fill out your pledge card and return it to the bag in the center of your table. And now for our long-awaited speaker, Mr. Jason Evert. Gerard will tell you that he had a vision whenever he started Natural Womanhood to bring Jason up to the stage at a gala. His vision of bringing Jason is coming true tonight. And unbeknownst to Jason, he and his wife actually have been a major influencer for Natural Womanhood. So we are so thankful that you are here. Jason Evert and his wife, Kristalina, have spoken to teenagers about the theology of the body to over 1 million individuals on 6 continents. They are the authors of over 15 best-selling books, including How to Find Your Soulmate Without Losing Your Soul. Also, the curriculum, You, the Life, Love, and the Theology of the Body. Jason is a frequent guest speaker on radio programs, including throughout the country, and his television appearances include for Fox News, MSNBC, the BBC, and EWTN. Jason, we would like to welcome you to the stage tonight. Everyone, please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. And Charlotte, thank you for your words. That's beautiful. And it's a blessing to see all you tonight. And I'm so happy that you're here to support Natural Womanhood. I'm especially happy to see those who've been coming together as husband and wife together tonight. I had heard of one couple. I was having, I guess, whatever marriage problems. And I guess they go to counseling. And the wife starts off and she says, you know, my husband here, he's not as affectionate as he used to be. He's not as thoughtful. He's not as romantic. He's not a good listener. And the husband just kind of rolls his eyes. Now, counselor gets a feel for what's going on there, so he gets up from behind his desk and he walks to where the wife was, and he took the wife in his arms and he gave her a long, passionate kiss. And then he sat her down and went back to his desk. He said to the husband, now, this is what your wife needs about 3 times a week. And the husband said, okay, I can bring her here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So a little misunderstanding here with intimacy, and I think our culture at large, you'd agree, is having a massive misunderstanding of what intimacy is supposed to look like. And they say intimacy could be understood as into me see. And I think we're more appropriate than with the woman, the body of the woman. To have true intimacy, you have to look into the person as it's revealed through the body. And so the beautiful thing of Natural Womanhood is not just that it's true and that it's good, but it's beautiful. And so this, I think, is the most persuasive thing about it. And let's look at this. Let's unpack why it's true, why it's good, why it's beautiful. First, beginning with the lies that we've been fed by the culture, this contraceptive culture. I mean, we all know we've been sold that, oh no, contraception, look, it is safe, it is reliable, it is scientific, it's modern, it's convenient, it'll provide you sexual freedom, liberation, control over your bodies, it'll decrease the rates of abortion, of pregnancy, of HIV. It was like this be-all, end-all of the solution. And we were sold this, right? But then NFP, that's kind of archaic, and that's old-fashioned, and that's your grandma's calendar rhythm method. It doesn't really work, and it's all frowned upon. That NFP, no. In fact, I see this in my daily work. I was doing talks for engaged couples in San Diego, and the diocese, before my talk, gives them this little survey to kind of see what they know about NFP. And they asked this woman, she was 26 years old, and they said, in one sentence, define natural family planning. She said, that's a way to have sex that meets church requirements. Now, doesn't that sound like fun? But it's literally all that she knew. Oh, that's the Vatican roulette thing. Is that what that is? And they asked another woman, like, in one sense, define NFP. Another woman said, that's a way of family planning that's very old-fashioned. But this is where they're coming at it from. That's the old-fashioned thing. But honestly, let's be real. What is old-fashioned is contraception. I mean, we have historical evidence from 1850 BC of Egyptian papyrus, where they encouraged women to insert into their bodies crocodile dung as a form of contraceptive. And then it was to fumigate her uterus with smoke so that she'd be sterile. They would bind her waist to conceive any conceived children. In the Middle Ages, they were developing superstitious ways to ward off pregnancies. In the Middle Ages, they would actually have the woman wear around her neck an amulet that would contain things such as the liver of a cat or the earwax of a mule inside the amulet to ward off pregnancy. Now, honestly, it actually might work, because a lot of guys don't like cats to begin with. And if you're wearing cat liver, deal breaker, like no fireworks there. But beyond the amulets, I mean, they would have women swallow potions of sterility, potions that contain things like lead, mercury, arsenic, and strychnine. And we think, oh, my goodness, how barbaric. Well, look at the 1930s. Women's magazines from the 1930s recommended that women use athlete's foot medicine and Lysol as a contraceptive. And then we think, oh, well, but then we got to the 50s, and now we got the pill. And now we're so advanced for women's health. And as many of you know, the female birth control pill was invented at the same time as the male birth control pill. But because of the side effects of the male pill, the guys were like, hey, we ain't touching that. And they said, okay, well, we'll test on the women. Well, 3 of them died. Well, adjust the dosage and keep doing the studies. And so it's an incredibly sexist organization. All the forms of contraception that exist for women exist for men. They have the male birth control pill. They have the male shot. They have the male implant. They have, I mean, you name it, they have male contraceptive gels and all kinds of stuff that could be used. But the pharmaceutical companies say, well, we've done the investment research on this, and men, for one, will be much more aggressive in litigation when they're the ones suffering the strokes. And so from a shareholder's perspective, we don't think it's really worth this, because men, they're not going to take it. Well, it's your body. You worry about that stuff. Let's put that in your body. But if women could only see what a sexist industry this is, no, you put that in your body, I'll be over here. But that's the beauty of natural womanhood and natural family planning. This is a team effort, and that it's best for the body. It's a team sacrifice together. And so the beauty of NFP, you don't have to worry about all the side effect stuff. Like the birth control pill, when a woman takes the pill, her body experiences more than 150 physiological changes from head to toe. The shape of her eyeball will actually change on the pill. It will dehydrate the surface of her eye and steepen her cornea. This is why women who use contact lenses often complain once they go on the pill it's less comfortable. It's because it's changing the shape of her eyeball on the pill. One journal of ophthalmology I read on this said that women on the pill will blink 32% more often than those not on the pill. I mentioned that at a high school assembly, and some girls were like, look, that girl's on the pill. And she's like, no, I'm not. Cut it out, guys, cut it out. So I don't want you walking out of here like judging people on their spontaneous blink rates, but it changes stuff. I mean, not only in our bodies, but many of you have seen the research on what it's doing to the environment now. Because the water, the sewage treatment plants in America and around the world have not been created to adequately filter out synthetic sex hormones from urine. And so when the sewage goes into the water treatment plants, the synthetic sex hormones of hundreds of millions of women pour into the water system. And they've done extensive research on the wildlife living upstream from these sewer treatment plants and the wildlife living downstream from them. And what's happening is the nature, the frogs, the amphibians, the fish, are being marinated in synthetic sex hormones. What they're finding is it's actually bending the gender of nature. They can actually reverse the gender of a male rainbow trout by putting that in that water. They're finding frogs that have eggs in their testes. They're having transgender animals downstream from these plants. Because what's happening is that their bodies are just being marinated in these potent hormones. And so for as much as people say, oh, sex is natural, what I find is the people who clamor the most about how natural sex is are the people least likely to actually have natural sex. It's like, oh, you really want natural sex? Okay, great. No contraceptives, no chemicals, no computers, just men, one man and one woman. I'm like, oh, that's risky. It's frightening to them what they're actually proposing. And they say, well, look, okay, fine, I get it. Okay, synthetic hormones, bad for us, bad for the environment. But come on, what about just a barrier method? What's so harmful about that? Well, what's fascinating is that we've all known from 7th grade biology, one sperm is sufficient to fertilize an ovum. Okay. Well, what happens to the other hundreds of millions that are introduced to a woman's body through a single act of intercourse? Now, it used to be thought that they really served no purpose other than fertilization. It's actually false. What they found is that seminal fluid is loaded with dozens of biological ingredients that absorb into the woman's uterus. after intercourse, the woman's white blood cells will scour the surface of her cervix, bringing sperm proteins and DNA into the lymph nodes deeper inside the woman's body, where her immune system will develop a gradual tolerance to the antigens on the male semen. Her body is learning his DNA type. And what they found is if through repeated exposure of this, she becomes pregnant with him, his child, that her womb, when the embryo implants into the womb, her womb will recognize the genetic type of that baby, match it to the genetic type of sperm that absorbed into her uterus, and it actually makes for an easier pregnancy. But if she is deprived of that, by means of a barrier method of contraception, she is more than twice as likely to suffer preeclampsia during that pregnancy. And so I'm reading this out of the Journal of the American Medical Association, and I'm typing it into my laptop into a book that I was writing. I'm on the airplane, and a woman leans over to me who's sitting next to me, and she says, "Oh, what are you writing about?" I'm like, I said, this is an epidemiological study of contraception and preeclampsia, and I kind of explained it to her. And I said, yeah, like, look at this, look at that. And she's like, well, this is fascinating. She said, you know what? My husband and I have been married. She said, I know I just met you, but I feel like I know you so well. She said, my husband and I have been married for 10 years, and we've used the condom between each of our 3 pregnancies, and every pregnancy I had preeclampsia. How come they didn't teach this to us in marriage preparation class? And this journal, as well as others, actually points out that if you're using a barrier method of contraception, technically you're having unprotected intercourse, because the man is not protecting the woman with the beneficial effects of the semen. It is mind-blowing how beautifully our bodies have been created. And so what we're doing right now is science is finally catching up to the architecture of what's been created within us. And so it's beautiful what God has created. And so not only is it true, all this stuff, like, it's good. The goodness that comes from it on a relational level. I read one woman, she and her husband switched from contraception to NFP, and she said, I now know the true meaning of the word intimate. But when was the last time you ever heard someone say that with a contraceptive method? Well, now that we've switched from NuvaRing to this or whatever, now we know intimacy. The enthusiasm has never been there. Why? It's because no woman wants to contracept. No woman on earth wants to contracept. She might want to have intercourse without having babies, but she has never wanted to be at war with her own physiology in order to accomplish that. And that's what natural womanhood offers us. And so it also makes you on a relational level as a man, I think, it makes you a better lover because you learn how to express love in non-sexual ways. You learn that, well, not every kiss needs to lead to the bedroom. You learn that abstinence is an expression of love. And if I can learn that as a husband, how much more authority do I have to teach that to my sons and my daughters? That if you're dating a girl and you're in high school, college, whatever, your abstinence with your girlfriend is a greater expression of love than making love to her, because you're doing what's best for her, not just what feels good in the moment. And so we learn that there's other ways to express love. The intimacy deepens through that sacrifice, because there's ways to love each other in a physical way, but sometimes, I think especially the woman needs space, because for most men, space comes naturally. We get plenty of space in our day. You go off to work, you might get a handshake, that's about it. If the wife happens to be a stay-at-home, she could be suffocated by touch by 7 o'clock in the morning. I remember one day, I remember sleeping, and I just felt this pressure on the side of my face. It's like 6 in the morning. I look up, there's a child standing on my face. And I look up, and she's like, oh, did I wake you up? And I'm like, yes, you certainly did. But that's 6 a.m. You could imagine by 6 p.m., maybe she's had enough touch for the day. But if you have a man who understands that principle and that abstinence can be an expression of love, you can see how the intimacy would deepen, the appreciation, the understanding, the into-me-see, that little break, that little space is going to make her more responsive to you the rest of the month, at the times that she might be more open. And so, to me, it's just a human way to plan the family. I think there's no big surprise why couples who use it do have a divorce rate under 4%. And so you've got the relational benefits. You've got the physical benefits of NFP. Not only are you, don't have all those side effects, for one, you can achieve pregnancy when you want to achieve it, but even more so, you're holding, as Charlotte said, you're holding in your hands your own reproductive health chart in your hands. I mean, the power of that is incredible. In fact, I know of one couple, they were contracepting for years, and they had a big change in their life, and they decided, no, we're going to try this natural family planning thing. And they learned it together, and one day they're charting, and the husband is like, well, that doesn't look right. That thing in the chart where it's supposed to be this, and you're over there. And said, let's talk to the NFP teacher. And they did, and she said, yeah, you probably want to talk to the doctor about that. So they went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yes, you're right. Your husband's right. He did catch that. That shouldn't be like that. I think something may be off with the thyroid. We need to send you to the thyroid specialist immediately, which they did, found out she had a cancerous tumor on her thyroid. They operated the next day and saved the woman's life. But if she didn't have that chart, they wouldn't even have their mother today. But because, the power of that, and it's personal for us, because when my wife and I were engaged, she had suffered debilitating cramps and painful for years and years and years. And, when we were engaged, I said, let's go talk to the doctors about it. And went to one doctor. You need to go on the pill. I'm like, I don't know. Let's try another doctor. Go on the pill. Another doctor. Go on the pill. Another doctor. 4 doctors in a row. Pill, 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 pill. They didn't want to deal with it. It was just like candy. And I said, look, I know this doctor out in Nebraska, Dr. Thomas Hilgers, he's on the forefront of this stuff. And I said, let's go talk to his nurses. Let's set something up. And so we started making phone calls to them. Okay, you need to start charting and watching this. And so we started charting for the first time in her life. And, we're engaged, and the doctors are telling us, like, if you don't go on the pill, you're putting her fertility at risk. You may never be able to have kids if you don't go on the pill. But we distrusted their advice. And instead, we talked to Dr. Thomas Hilger. He said, no, look, chart, and you're going to come out here. We're going to do some ultrasounds. We're going to do some studies. And sure enough, found out she had endometriosis. She had polycystic ovarian. She had a couple tumors going on. And he gave her laparoscopy, took care of it in a day, and she was home. And now, 8 children later in our marriage, I'd say he took care of that one. So I think he might have actually put some extra ovaries in there because how fertile he ended up making her. But it's beautiful. Our family exists because of the power of a woman's cycle being unleashed and understood. And so the idea that, and I asked him, I said, I do a lot of work with young teenage girls, college girls, and I said, how many girls need the pill for medical reasons? And he said, virtually none. We have all the treatments in medicine today. It's lazy gynecology. And this is a man with decades of experience in the field of women's health. Lazy gynecology. Really, how much progress has women's health made in the last 50 years? Virtually none. Give it the pill, give it the pill, give it the pill. You're treating the symptom, you're not treating the disease. Because if I have a headache every single day and you just gave me a pill for 3 months, well, maybe I have a back injury that actually needs to be addressed. Instead of treating my symptoms, treat the disease. And that's what Natural Woman actually offers women. It's not just a matter of, okay, let's chart the cycle. Like, we're creating the possibility for generations of human beings even to exist by being able to heal us on a deeper level in the woman's body. And so to me, from a husband's perspective, it's like, okay, is it good for her body? Okay, well, let's do it then. Like, where's the class? Let's sign up. You don't really need the philosophy. You don't need the theology. If it's good for the body, it's good for the wife, well then, okay, sign us up, let's take the class. It really should be that simple. And yeah, it is difficult, right? It is demanding. In fact, a friend of mine, he and his wife couldn't have kids, and so they live here in Texas, and he's a doctor, and so they went to a fertility specialist, and the doctor said, sir, I need you and your wife to abstain from sex for 30 days so I can chart her fertility very accurately. And my friend looked at the doctor, and he's like, really, doc? Like 30 days of abstinence? And the doctor's like, yes, 30 days of abstinence. And my friend's like, does it need to be 30 consecutive days? And the doctor's like, yes, like 30 days of abstinence. Now, apparently they're at a Catholic hospital. The nurse in attendance is a nun, a religious sister, about 70 years old. And when my friend gasped, a month, the nun looked at him and she said, you'll be all right. And I realized, he's going to make it, And so, and he did. They made it through the month. They were able to conceive, have a family. But NFP, look, it's demanding. We need to be honest about this because I think sometimes we oversell it of just like, oh, it's the best thing ever. It's sunshine and roses and rainbows and lollipops and everything's great. And then the couples try it and they're like, well, this is really difficult, because I travel for work and then I'm home these days and then those are the days we can't be close. Then I have to go back on the road. And sometimes it brings up in the marriages an insufficiently developed virtue of chastity. Because if we didn't learn self-mastery before marriage, and then you put NFP on top of that, it does what marriage is supposed to do. It brings our faults to the surface like oil and water. so those faults can be purified, so they can be healed, so they can be redeemed. And it's ugly when those things pop up. It's messy, and the temptation is to blame shift. Oh, well, the problem's the method. The problem is the demands it's making upon me. The problem is that thing when we could just do this and it'd be a lot easier. And so we're taking the blame and putting it out there instead of in here. And so that's one of the benefits of this is in fact how tough it is. It requires patience, it requires sacrifice, it requires self-control, but love is not afraid of those things. Love is those things. And so what it does is it sets you free from the convenience of the other methods and their results. It sets you free from the convenience of slipping into that. Wow, this is really easy. Like, we don't have to chart, we don't have to do this. I mean, you just go there, you get a shot, you get an implant, you get a surgery, and like, we're done. How convenient. The convenience of the results. I mean, hey, we haven't had kids in years and just did that and don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to change diapers anymore and I'm not carpooling as much. Like, this is easy. It's so tempting to slide into the convenience of it. It's like the Wizard of Oz scene where they're all kind of like falling asleep in the poppy fields. Like, oh, this is so great. And they're all out cold. But with the demands of NP, in a sense, it keeps you awake because it's hard. It keeps you awake. And then you start to see this big picture that, wait a minute, like the supreme gift of marriage is children. This is the default, is openness to life. And they're the supreme gift of marriage. I mean, we have been marinated in a contraceptive culture. I spoke at a high school. I asked the kids, hey guys, what is the most common sexually transmitted disease? One guy's like, oh, I know, pregnancy. I'm like, no. I'm like, kids are not bacteria. But it's the fruit of a contraceptive culture. I mean, after my wife and I, we had 2 boys, then we had our first girl, and I was at the gym with some guy, and he's like, where you been? I'm like, oh, we just had a baby girl. And he's like, what? He's like, 3? You got 3 now? He's like, yeah, 2. He's like, at least you got your girl, so you guys are done, right? I'm like, done? Like, yeah, I've collected all of the genders. I can stop procreating now. It's like, what is the point here? What we've got to understand is that, like I said, children are the supreme gift of marriage. And oftentimes you'll hear stories of couples who realize this a bit late in their marriage, right? Where I remember reading to one wife, and just at dinner with her husband and their 2 kids, and she just starts crying during dinner. And the husband's like, honey, like, you okay? And she kind of like signaled him off, like, we'll talk later. And so he circled back later that night, like, honey, what was going on at dinner? And what hit her is like, she said, honey, I'm so grateful for the 2 kids that we do have, but something struck me today that there's some empty chairs at our table that should have been filled because we just weren't open. And it just hit her like a ton of bricks. You rarely hear people on the opposite side. My grandfather lived here in Texas. He was a captain for American Airlines, World War II vet, and had 10 kids he and his wife had. High school sweetheart. They had 10 kids. Their names were Joseph and Mary. I mean, it was just a beautiful thing. And he had 10 kids, and he passed away recently, and he had a stroke, and after the stroke, his family was around him, and the nurses were there, and they were kind of like just checking in, like how lucid he was. And they're like, okay, now, Mr. Gillen, what is your name? He's like, Joseph. They said, do you have children? How many children do you have? He said, 2. And his kids are like, oh, and he's like, yeah, too many. But like obviously in jest. But you don't hear people saying, yeah, we just had too many. Which one would we have been better off without? Because when you say yes to one, you're really not saying yes to one. You're saying yes to a word we never hear today, descendants. Descendants upon descendants that you could be saying yes to. Literally, not 1, not 10, but down the road, eons from now, you could have said yes to 10,000 human lives by the generosity of one, of just saying that yes, one. And that's, I think, one of the things that NFP forces us to do is say, like, why are we still using this method? Well, it's hard. Well, we're using this because, like, you were stressed out at work and you said it wasn't time for kids. Well, I thought we were using it because you were kind of emotionally burnt out. Well, yeah, I think we're in a better place now. It kind of forces those conversations to the surface instead of lulling you into a bit of complacency. And so, yeah, I mean, contraception, granted, yeah, it is more convenient. It really is. But convenience is not our highest value. It isn't. So what the beauty with natural womanhood is that it's beautiful. What it taught me is that my wife's body is perfect. She doesn't need drugs. She doesn't need pills. She doesn't need shots. She doesn't need implants. She doesn't need barriers. You know what she needs is to be understood. Because if we can understand her fertility, then instead of suppressing it with chemicals to conform to our desires, we conform our desires to the way her body has already perfectly been made. And this, my friends, is true sexual liberation. So thank you for your support of natural womanhood, and may God bless all the important work that you're doing.